All right. Well, hello there, everyone, to the VPPPA Nation and everyone out there. This is Nat Measley, the founder at yourculturedesign.com, here to host and walk you through our workshop on what we call the perfect workplace. And yes, in case you're wondering, maybe I look familiar to a few of you. It's me, Nat, your conference MC from the VPPPA Region 3 conference for the last 9 years. I was very sorry to not get to see you, specifically you, some of my good friends that I've made at the conference over almost a decade, and of course our board of directors at Region 3, who have been working incredibly hard to get us all back together again. And so I hope to see you all together again in 2022 and beyond. Let's hope for that, and let's hope for a safe and happy and healthy December 21, and of course, start to 2022. Outside of my MC career for the Region 3 conference, I am also the founder at yourculturedesign.com. So I teach university courses at my alma mater, the University of Delaware, and a few other regional colleges to entrepreneurs and young emerging leaders about how to create the perfect workplace culture and how to look at a workplace culture as what we call a design thinking challenge. So hence my career and work on my baby at yourculturedesign.com. Today for our workshop, we're going to be doing two main parts. Part number one is an exercise. It's a 5-minute exercise. This video is actually going to be super interactive. So hopefully you're ready to play along with us as we go through our 5-minute exercise. And this is an exercise that we call the perfect workplace. This is also an exercise that you as leaders can implement, steal, use it for your teams back wherever you work. And it's an exercise that will hopefully show you some real value about those who you're working with. So take this exercise, the 5-minute perfect workplace exercise, apply it, let us know how you do, etc. The second part of today's workshop, after we introduce you to the perfect workplace exercise, is we're going to cover the basics of what makes for design thinking. So we at yourculturedesign.com look at culture, workplace culture, the norms, the actions, the experiences of all employees at all levels, and how that affects a single moving mission, goal, vision, our core values, all of that great stuff. We look at that as a complex design thinking challenge. So the second part of our workshop today, after we explore the perfect workplace and you get to play along, is we're going to introduce you to the very first step in our process, which is what we call design thinking, but specific for workplace culture. Design thinking, of course, is a model and a way of thought that has helped designers for specific products, of course, like your brand new iPhone or other things or stuff, but also designers of specific experiences. And that's what we like to look at yourculturedesign.com, is how can we create experiences and design experiences that are going to be effective for the individual employee and, of course, our organization as a whole. So we're going to introduce you to the very basic first steps, 3 parts, quick pieces of what makes up design thinking. So let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get started. So welcome to the Perfect Workplace Workshop. This is part number 1 of our workshop. Again, this is part number 1 of 2. This is an exercise that you can borrow from us. You can do this. I encourage you to go back to your teams and your groups and lead this exercise. And it's a very simple exercise to do, and it's become quite powerful. We've heard from leaders of small businesses, teams, and departments, all the way up to at scale for corporations who have done this as part of their retreats, part of their team meetings, their weekly huddles, all of that. This exercise is called the perfect workplace. And here's how it works. It's really quite simple. I'm going to ask that you play along, and then you can, of course, take this back to your teams and your groups. This is how it works. All I want you to do is take 5 minutes and brainstorm and record somewhere, somehow. So either write it down, grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil right now. You could text this to yourself on your smartphone or iPhone. You could open up a new email document to yourself. However you need to, record all of your thoughts through this 5-minute brainstorming session. And here's what we want you to do during this 5 minutes. all we want you to do is think about what would make for the perfect workplace. And as in most all of the events I'm a part of, all of the classes I teach, there's only one simple rule for this 5-minute brainstorm. Dream wildly. Think big. There are no restrictions. There are no budget limitations. There are no issues in your way, no barriers or obstacles whatsoever for the sake of this exercise right now. All we want you to do is take 5 minutes and dream about, and of course, record all of your thoughts of what would make for your perfect workplace. Now, here's how this is going to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you to start a timer on your phone or your smartwatch for 5 minutes, set it for 5 minutes, hit start, and then go through your brainstorming, and then pause this video. So I'm going to give you a break here of a couple seconds where you can actually pause this video so you can have 5 minutes without me talking and bothering you in your own headspace to, again, think about and create and dream about and record anything that comes to mind when you think about what would make for the perfect workplace. Sound good? Take a couple seconds right now, set your timer. On your marks, get set, go. You can now pause my video and I'm going to stay silent for just a couple seconds. Okay, now that you should have done your 5 minutes. So if you haven't done it yet, go back, pause me again right here. If you haven't done your 5 minutes yet, make sure you set 5 minutes aside and brainstorm and record all the things that you think of when you think of what would make for a perfect workplace. Hopefully, if you have done the exercise, you have thought really, really big. So this is actually a very popular exercise. And notice in the facilitation of this exercise, I didn't mention anything specific. I just said, what would make for the perfect workplace? Tell us everything and anything. And as we're typically and traditionally facilitating this exercise with other groups all around the country, they're often giving us some common answers back. And here, let's see if you did it, are 2 of the most common answers we get back from some of these wildly and creative brainstorming sessions. Number 1 is, we need a pool. We need a 50-meter saltwater pool with a sliding board, and basketball hoops on either side, and a swim-up bar. And we need all this great stuff. And hopefully, if you've done this exercise, your teammates and employees and leaders and followers in your organization will have come up with some great creative ideas like this. What a great looking workplace this is. I could sit on that chaise lounge there and do all of my emailing on my laptop and get my work done. Okay. Hopefully your teams have dreamed big as well about what they want from the perfect workplace, like a pool, or second most popular answer, a money fountain. Duh. How hard is that and how simple? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want a money fountain? The reason we do this exercise is to also actually showcase that there are traditionally 2 types of answers here. Those are the 2 most popular. We want the pool, we want the money fountain. That's great. As a facilitator, I often say in starting this workshops, I say, great, you've got it. Keep going, keep brainstorming, add on to each other's ideas. So if you have a pool with a money fountain built in, even better. Keep adding and designing on top of each other's ideas by adding more wild, more creative ideas and layers. So there are 2 types of typical answers we get in this exercise. What would make for your perfect workplace? Number 1 is the physical stuff, right? Well, I want the pool and I want the money fountain, or whatever the other things would be. The second, which oftentimes does start to come up in an open conversation afterwards, ask everyone to share what they've come up with their own perfect workplace. So what did you say? What did you say? Oftentimes the things that start to really emerge and rise to the top are not only ideas that aren't physical stuff, but they are also the things that don't cost our company as much money. If you're familiar with the Q12 from Gallup's research, employee engagement and survey company Gallup. They've been doing this for a long time. And their Q12 are the 12 main questions, hence the name Q12, on an employee engagement survey that are the biggest indicators for engagement. And these are questions like, I have a best friend at work, I have the tools I need to get my job done, I feel respected, etc. Some of the most common answers that we get are actually what people want from their perfect workplace, aren't things that cost a lot of money or may take a lot of resources like a pool and a money fountain, but instead are things like respect, autonomy, recognition, or even a recognition of what their motivation may be in that moment, that week, that year. So we thought this was really actually pretty interesting. And it's an interesting starting point for you all as you go back to your organizations to start to think about and hear back from what people would want in a perfect workplace. It should be heartening for you to realize that most of the things that people most often ask for are things that don't cost a ton of money. It is things like respect, autonomy, recognition. So a great simple tool for you to reference is the Gallup Q12 survey. That's step one of our workshop. This is a quick, simple introductory activity. And so again, hopefully you've taken 5 minutes and explored how you brainstormed about what would make for a perfect workplace. And again, start to think about how you could take this simple exercise, a simple question, what would make for your perfect workplace, back to those around you. Set some time aside at your next retreat. Kick off the retreat with this question, see what people say, create an ongoing brainstorm for people to be able to share, not just like what they want, a pool and a money fountain, but also what their respect, autonomy, motivation, and recognition may be in that moment. One of the complex challenges with designing culture for the long term and as a sustainable system or a sustainable idea, we're going to do monthly culture things now, is the fact that people's motivation for recognition, their definition of autonomy and respect might be changing by the minute. It might be very different. So hopefully this first introductory exercise called Our Perfect Workplace has helped your people to open up their minds and be a little free and be a little bit allowed to brainstorm and dream. The second piece that we often do, and we're going to expose you to, which is a model for how to then solve this complex culture problem to eventually, the end goal here, of course, is to eventually get to this perfect workplace, which, by the way, doesn't exist. Okay. In most scenarios, the perfect workplace where you are perfectly connected to how you want to be recognized, how you want to define autonomy, getting the exact right tools you need to do your job, big key for a lot of our safety teammates that are out there. That's a big question on engagement surveys that directly relates to what we're doing in the world of safety. Do I have the right tools to do my job, or, if you will, to be safe and do my job? It's a great question. That perfect workplace, to get there is probably impossible. It might exist somewhere. It might be your company, and I might be wrong, and I'd love to hear from you if I am wrong. But we can work on getting there, because where we are now might not be so perfect. And one of the tools we can use and leverage, or one of the models and mindsets, is what's called design thinking. So design thinking is a thought process in how to start to create solutions that become iterative, meaning they happen over and over and over and over, and are testable. In most of the research and most of the design thinking models that are laid out, and our main curriculum focuses on, are 3 simple phases. The first in your design thinking process is what's called the inspiration phase. So in this phase, you would think about and record all of the factors involved that affect how we work, your workplace culture. So if we were designing the new iPhone, we would think about all of the new features, parts, pieces that make up this phone, all the apps that are on it, the software, the hardware, everything. And we would just list, we're just going to list all of those factors. they could affect the phone positively or negatively, but we're just going to list all of those factors. For workplace culture, this could be the number of people in your organization. This could be the geography and where you work. This, including our newest phenomenon that we've all had to get more used to over the last 18 months to 2 years since 2020, which is the work from home phenomenon, which a lot of companies are saying aren't going anywhere anytime soon for some more of the admin staff. So your physical environment at work could be a factor. The amount of time you're working, the type of job you're doing, the amount of people on your immediate team, the people you have connections to. There's 1,000 different factors involved that can be affecting a workplace and its immediate culture and what's happening. That's the inspiration phase. In the inspiration phase, you sit down and you think about, if you had a big whiteboard, you could start to whiteboard and write all the ideas, all the factors involved that affect, again, either positively or negatively, but that affect a workplace's culture. In the ideation phase, which is phase number 2 of this design thinking model, you take one of those factors. So let's say the factor is working from home or physical space. And you try to identify what is one new idea for that specific factor that you could change or create a new idea to make it better. So if your physical environment, let's say, is extremely hot, you're out in the warehouse and it's extremely hot all the time for whatever reason, a simple idea to solve that is to get air conditioning in the building if you don't have it already, or pump up the air conditioning that's already in the building potentially, if possible. That is a solution for one of those factors. In design thinking, want to start to test each of those factors one after the other. Our assumption then in the implementation phase, which is the third phase, is that by implementing that new solution, we would see what works and what doesn't work. So for our example there of the warehouse, when we start to turn up the air conditioning, what we find works is everyone is at a comfortable temperature now as they're working in the warehouse on our forklifts and using other pieces of equipment. However, what we also found was that our product started to freeze, and it's not supposed to. And so we have to retest and go back to what the factors were in the inspiration phase. So design thinking operates like a big loop. You start with the inspiration phase, come up with all the factors involved. You pick one factor and come up with a solution for it in the ideation phase, come up with a new idea. And then in the implementation phase, you put it into action. And here's the important part. You test it and try it within the boundaries and within the resources that you have in your organization. So if someone said, I don't have enough fun in my work environment, so I need that pool. I need that 50-yard saltwater pool. That is an idea to solve the problem of not having enough fun for sure. However, when we get to the implementation phase, we start to really actually think of realistic things we could do if we don't have the budgets, time, and resource to actually build a pool. And instead, although you might be lacking fun in your work environment, our solution might end up not being a 50-meter saltwater pool. But this is a fun process as well, that we actually work with companies all over the country on helping them to lead workshops for their employees to go through this process, this design thinking process. Let's talk about all the factors involved as we all work towards what that perfect workplace is for us. And then, of course, we give the people who are going through these workshops a voice and the ability to go come up with new ideas and start to implement and test them. They're, again, within the limits and boundaries, right? We don't want someone testing a new safety harness without it being fully vetted or tested and going through the correct checkboxes. However, if safety is a concern, maybe there are other ways that we can be safer, that we can do right now today. And the big theme from all of this, which becomes a major benefit for the organization, is that it is the people that are coming with the new ideas. My final thought here for you all, one of my favorite examples of this is years ago, there's a famous video of a Walmart national meeting. And it was a national meeting, and they had brought up two of their truck drivers. And the two truck drivers had come up with like a new step stool that helped them get into the truck quicker. They started to test it and use it in their own trucks. And it ended up, because of such a scale that Walmart was operating on, saving the company as a whole millions of dollars, because the drivers started to be able to make one or two more deliveries every day, just because they sped up the process of getting in and out of the truck. And it added an element of safety as well as they further developed the idea. There's a famous video of this because they brought both of those employees up on the stage at Walmart's national meeting to recognize them for this brilliant, great new idea that they had developed for the company that ended up saving Walmart or making Walmart so much more, millions more dollars. The fact that that came from within the culture, what a great initiative that also, at least on the surface, showcased that Walmart was listening to their people's ideas. So when someone tells you what their perfect workplace is, listen to them and start to think about what ideas you could develop that you could implement today to help them. So thank you for going through our very introductory culture design workshop. Again, that exercise on the perfect workplace, here's how you word that question, just as a reminder. Hey, everyone, come around. What would make for your perfect workplace? Let's spend 5 minutes and brainstorm. What makes for your perfect workplace? Write anything down, ready, get, set, go. It's a great exercise. You'll hear a lot of great stuff back from people that isn't always just the pool and the fountain. And that's a wonderful place to start to get to know and understand each other. Secondarily, we went over our design thinking model, these simple 3 phases: the inspiration phase, the ideation phase, and the implementation phase. Don't worry, there's no test or quiz at the end of this. But if there was, that would be an important 3 things to remember. So thank you for going through and starting to look about and think about intentionally designing your workplace culture. As part of our involvement as well with VPPPA, and of course, my background and experience with the board and with everyone else, we wanted to encourage you at this moment as well to go to, save, write down, or remember yourculturedesign.com/VPPPA. And at this site, we are offering our workshops. They are virtual or in person and customized by time and based on the number of people that you have. We've done individual one-on-one training and mentoring all the way up to big group trainings. And for any training that we book at yourculturedesign.com/VPPPA, we're going to be donating a portion of proceeds for all of those workshops that are booked there back to our scholarship funds for the VPPPA Region 3 Board of Directors. You know, they do a lot of fundraising and scholarships for a lot of great younger member institutions and college students. And so we wanted to do a very small little part. But if you want to get some more education on this, we have a full curriculum we can share with you and customize workshops on culture. Go to yourculturedesign.com/VPPPA. There's some more information there. And if you book your workshop through that site, we, of course, will be donating proceeds back to our scholarship funds for the Region 3 work. So thanks again, everybody. It was great to see you all again and again. I hope to see you all in person sometime in 2022. Have fun the rest of this year and early in 2022. Be safe. And of course, best of luck exploring your perfect workplace culture and starting to think about how you could design solutions for your group. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Bye.